a month or two of dating, he bought me a new HVAC system.
Okay.
So
That's nice.
it was really nice.
Yeah.
And
I mean, those aren't cheap.
no, not at, and he also arranged it all. He
Wow.
called them, had them come in. He paid off my car. Like all of these lovely.
Sugar.
Yeah, it was great.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. I've got a really good one today. I went and grabbed this girl off the plane. She literally just landed in town. She wrote me a letter, and I'm going to read that letter. Actually, we discussed one of the letters that you wrote previously. Let me pull that up. Says, hey, Marcus and crew, I've been a listener for quite some time, and I've been on and off sugar baby for about 2 years. I am in my 30s and have always had platonic friends with benefit relationships with my guys until the most recent came into and out of my life. We did not meet on SA, ironically, and it was a long-distance relationship that worked because of my job as a flight attendant. Long story short, I learned that teetering the line between arrangement and relationship does not work. He wanted the relationship, not me, but I fell hard and fast for this Prince Charming whose true colors showed quickly once the fantasy chase was over. I'd love to be a part of the show, and if not, highly suggest you cover that topic in depth on an episode. So we read that letter a few episodes ago, and then I got this one. Says, hey, it's me, the flight attendant who wrote into you. I love that Amy actually took my subtext and led into a conversation that was the truth behind my simple email. For clarification, I only wanted a casual relationship with this SD, but he was the one who wanted us to be in a monogamous, non-arrangement relationship. I fell in love with him, and we were in a great monogamous, long-distance relationship. He asked me if I would move to his state, would take his last name as we got married, kids, etc. Then I found out he actually was legally separated but not willing to get divorced, and I actually found him active on dating sites. The story just gets worse and worse. This was the only sugar daddy I've had that was this dishonest. How do I get back into the sugar dating life again when I feel so burned? Well, fresh off of the airplane as a flight attendant, welcome Ella.
Hi.
How are you?
You know, today was a long day.
Yes, you've been up since
3 a.m.
3 a.m. You've flown cross country. You got
Yes,
stuck
twice.
in Vegas.
Everything that could have gone wrong today went wrong.
Yeah.
But I made it.
Yeah,
so-
you made it. And thank you for coming. This is the first time we've met.
Yes.
We've only chatted through messages. She actually messaged me on our website and on Instagram. So guys, if you want to get a hold of me, that's a great way to do it. And maybe we'll have you on the show too. But tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a flight attendant, obviously, almost 10 years now. Before that, I was in nursing, and I'm also in school for massage therapy.
Nice.
So basically every fantasy mixed into one, right?
Yes.
I've got the uniform, I've got the scrubs, massage, of
Wow.
course. So that's,
How long are you in town for?
you know, less than 24 hours, you know? I have a very eclectic lifestyle, not so easy to date as a flight attendant. As you could see by today, everything goes wrong, you know.
Yeah, your
you make
flight got
plans.
delayed, and then the freeways were closed, and
Right.
yes.
And if you have a date, they're going to think you're trying to cancel on them because everything's going wrong. So not so easy to date. We aren't away from home as much as people think. You know, everyone thinks that you're gone 24/7. That's not true. But when you are home, you just kind of want to rest,
Yeah.
you know, and get some R&R.
Right.
So that's kind of how I fell into seeking to begin with.
Okay.
It was a couple of years ago. I was deciding to go back to school, and I thought, you know, it's really expensive. I'm a homeowner. I have a lot of bills. I'm in my mid-30s. I just wanted like a little bit of help. So I kind of, you know, dipped my toe in and thought, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this in my 20s? This is so much easier. And I thought so much less drama.
You thought.
Which it was in the beginning, but it kind of blew up in my face recently.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you find seeking? Like, how did that whole thing come about? Because were you dating traditionally before?
I was.
Yeah.
All throughout my 20s. I had a couple of serious relationships, but I felt like I was lowering my standards and was ending up with these guys that just were not meeting me where I was.
Right.
So I think someone had mentioned it in passing, and I thought, I'm sure that's crazy. That can't be exactly what they say it is. So I made a profile, didn't put any pictures up, just so I could take a peek.
Okay.
And I started getting messages without even any pictures up.
Really?
And I was like, okay, this has got to be a scam. Literally, right?
Yeah.
Flight attendant, nursing background. They're like, I got to know who this girl is.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up swapping pictures, meeting up, and honestly, every single guy on Seeking was very respectful.
Really?
And I thought this is
Good
actually,
for you, man.
Yeah. On Bumble or Tinder, you get all these nasty messages and it's a mess. You go on Seeking and there's actually men, real men.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Kind of the dating up as their new theme on the website. It's a great place to date up.
Exactly.
So you were finding a better quality, higher caliber men there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you met a few. Did it work out? How did it go?
Yeah, I had a couple of arrangements that lasted, maybe 6 months to a year. Some of them had moved out of state because of COVID. Their job changed.
Okay.
A couple of others we for whatever reason grew apart, but they're still, friendly with me. I could reach out. We ended on good terms.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, I took a break and tried traditional dating again.
It's hard to go back.
It is.
Your expectations are so much different.
Absolutely. And the level of respect on Seeking, honestly, if I say, no, thank you, I'm not interested, I read your profile and we're not a good fit, 99% of the time they say, okay, great, best of luck.
Yeah.
You go on another site and they want to fight you when you say you're turning them down. It's like,
they take it personally.
What is this?
Right. So where you live, do you have quite a bit to choose from, or?
I do.
Okay.
I live about 30 minutes outside of a major city.
Okay.
So most people are willing to commute that kind of distance or meet halfway. My age range, it gets a little sticky. Most people are either, divorced, maybe not interested in dating again, whatever. So typically on Seeking, I tend to match with people in cities that I'm visiting.
Oh.
So
right.
That's how I came across this most recent one.
Yeah.
I matched on a non-Seeking site.
Okay.
And he actually reached out to me first. I didn't think that sugar dating existed outside of Seeking. I guess I wasn't open to it,
Right.
And he surprised me. In that time, I was actually in the mindset that I was not looking for a relationship. And so I flat out said to him, I was like, I'm actually more interested in arrangements. That was my first message to him.
Okay.
And he said, so are you only in it for the money, or are you open to, an emotional connection? And I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. I thought he was going to say, nah, get out of here. That's not what this site is about. He ended up flying to my city for our first date.
Okay. Wow.
So that was a really nice
Yes.
first move. So he took me out. Nothing happened. We just had a really nice first date. Actually, it was probably the best first date I've ever had,
Okay.
which was nice. We have a little bit of an age gap. He's about like 20 years older than me. According to his page, he had been single for 2 years, which when I hear single, I think completely
Right.
unattached.
Yeah.
Right. So we had been seeing each other for about a month or so. And, a little bit of truth comes out. I'm not exactly single. I'm just not completely married.
Is what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, of course, I go into the whole, like, what's happening here? So I kind of asked for clarification, and he sent me documents and said, look, I'm legally separated, all of that. So then I'm trying to think like, okay, he was just afraid to tell me the truth. He didn't want to scare me off, whatever. So we continued to date. I would fly out there. He would fly to see me. We would see each other like weekly. And after maybe, I don't know, a month or two of dating, he bought me a new HVAC system.
Okay.
So
That's nice.
it was really nice.
Yeah.
And
I mean, those aren't cheap.
no, not at, and he also arranged it all. He
Wow.
called them, had them come in. He paid off my car. Like all of these lovely.
Sugar.
Yeah, it was great. I still thought he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Maybe there was just a little bit of a slip up there. And I would always fly down there. He would pick me up from the airport. We had this routine. We had a great relationship. Like I really, truly cared about this guy. And then he dropped the whole I'm falling in love with you.
Okay.
And
Sucking you into the whole thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I was still in this mindset of I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm only looking for an arrangement.
Right.
But he was so sweet and so above and beyond what I expected in such a little amount of time that I totally fell for it.
Yeah.
So before I knew it, the whole personality started to change.
What happened?
Well, more secrets would come out, right? There would be stuff in the women's closet in his house, but his wife had moved out supposedly, you know, 2 years ago. And
Little red flags started popping up.
yeah, and then there was a girl who supposedly, you know, rented out his basement for a while, and he's still getting her mail. Like really weird stuff that I could never totally put together, right? So that it started to go downhill, which then kind of put me on my guard.
Yeah.
And when I'm sugar dating, I'm a different person than when I'm traditional dating.
Right.
You just have a little bit more confidence. You have, it's not that you have a wall up, but you have just a little bit extra of a barrier. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not being super vulnerable.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had been very vulnerable, and it was a hard fall. It was a really hard fall. Yeah. So I ended up breaking up with him. He wanted to get back together, put on another show, which was, you know, he put on a show for sure. He swooped me back in.
Men.
Yeah, they're good sometimes. And then he actually brought up, and here we go, he brought up the whole idea of a threesome, which I was totally open for. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm down.
With another girl or guy?
With another girl.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I was like, you know, good deal. I feel safe and comfortable with you, except I was teetering the line with some stuff, you know, the secret-y stuff.
Right.
And I said, as long as I'm the one who gets to pick, and she has to live in Chicago, not where you live. So
Chicago was far enough away?
yes.
Okay.
So he's like, okay, good deal, whatever. So we made this plan that I was going to either look, you know, on traditional dating sites, or I would look on Seeking for a gal, and I would kind of talk to them, get to know them, maybe meet up with them one-on-one, and then kind of bring her in. He was good and ready, whatever. And I just said, don't be pushy about it. And when it happens, you know, like, don't keep asking me every day, have you found her yet? What does she look like? You know, all that.
Right.
Like, let's let it be, you know, free flowing. So I ended up making a Bumble profile, and I happened to be on a layover in his city and just switched.
Oh, we know where this is going.
And guess who I find?
Yep.
So at first I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe when we broke up that one time, maybe he activated it, but he's not using it. I really tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I really tried.
No, we always ignore those red flags, don't we? I'm so guilty of it too.
But he's such a good guy.
Right. Yeah.
And he bought me the HVAC, like, you know. So I thought, you know, he's not active. There's no way. So I had my friend log in, who lived in the same city as him. And I said, here are the very specific parameters on how you'll find him. Here's his picture. And I had her match with him.
Oh, sure you did.
Well, guess who matched back within 30 seconds? And her profile was brand new. So I said, now you have to message him. So she messaged him, and he messaged her back immediately, which means he has the alerts on and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, I was like, you know.
That's like a knife in the heart, isn't it? Because I've been on both sides of that, but sometimes I'll kind of meet somebody on Seeking that I'm getting a little bit more serious with, and then I'll start getting these messages from people, and I'm wondering, am I being set up here?
Totally.
If I respond to this, you know, am I caught? So, you know, quote unquote.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I mean,
I went every which way with it.
Yeah.
You know, I felt bad, I felt sad, I felt mad, everything in between. And then I was like so close to creating a fake profile and standing him up. And I was like, that is not me. Like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But I was so mad. So I actually confronted him about it. And he lied again.
Well, of course.
He's like,
I'm not going to tell the
I'm
truth.
not active on a dating site, you know.
And you're like, bullshit.
And I was like, really? Because you just talked to my friend.
Yeah.
I have screenshots. Like,
Busted.
So we broke up again, naturally.
Yeah.
We and since I have messaged you, there is an update.
Oh, there is.
There is.
Well, do tell. Spill the tea.
So I happened to have another layover in that city, and I had my Bumble Boost or whatever, so you can see when people swipe on you.
Oh, okay.
And guess who swiped on me?
Really?
He did. So just out of plain curiosity, I swiped back, and I messaged him, and I said, you've already seen my profile. Did you accidentally swipe? What's going on? And he said, no, I really want to see you. Mm-hmm. He has my phone number. He could have done it another way. That's not so smooth. You could have done better than that. You could have sent me flowers or something, try to woo me a bit. So I said, okay, sounds good. I'll be there later tonight. I'll be in and out, and then I'll have like a 24-hour layover. Let's get dinner. Let's, be friends again. Let's not have this anger between us, whatever. So he says, yeah, why don't you Uber to my house? It's a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's 10 o'clock at night. So we're not going to go out and grab a drink, are we? I think you owe me a little bit more this time. Yeah. So he ended up canceling on me. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I thought, whatever, maybe next time. So then he says, he sees my schedule and he says, oh, you're going to be in town again. I'm going to pick you up from the airport. We're going to go out to dinner. Things are going to be great. Guess who has not texted me since?
Yeah.
What kind of game is this?
I think that one's done and over with.
But this is where it teeters the line. If we would have stayed in the beginning as an arrangement style, there wouldn't have been any of this game playing. There wouldn't have been the, dating behind my back because I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
And I was looking,
It's tough when feelings get involved. It complicates the whole thing. And because feelings are natural.
Right.
And how do you deal with that? That's a big question.
What do you do?
Yeah. No, it's happened to me a few times as I've been sugar dating and as the arrangements turned into relationships. All of a sudden,
on your end or their
yes,
end?
on both.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden, I start getting feelings of jealousy, and then we start arguing over who's texting who first in the morning. I was like, we never argued over this stuff before. We used to just
danger zone.
have dates, and we'd go out and have fun and dinners and concerts and travel. Now that we're serious, we're arguing over who's texting who first in the morning. This is ridiculous. Exactly. We're fighting over the stupidest little things. I'm getting jealous of people that all of a sudden she's on her phone getting texts from these people. Before, I didn't care. We just were enjoying each other's company. Yeah, it's so tough, isn't it?
So where does that line teeter? Where do you have to say, we need to have this talk and we're either going to be, we had the we are monogamous talk.
Right.
On my end, I held up to the bargain. Obviously, he didn't.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, as it all comes down to is just communication is the biggest key on anything, whether you're sugar dating, whether you're relationship dating on Tinder or Bumble or Match or Hinge or any of those, right? The communication, when it breaks down, it's horrible. And then you start sneaking around. You're not up front. But communication is hard sometimes. As you become more serious, you don't want to start offending that person. If I'm going out on a date with somebody and we're not serious, I'm going to say what's on my mind. And they can take it or leave it. I don't care. But when you really like them, you start kind of holding back a little bit and kind of holding these things in, and it just starts festering.
Absolutely.
And it's really tough. No, if I had the magic words and the magic key, I'd write a book. I've read a few books about it. There's a lot of good relationship books. Matter of fact, there's some really good relationship-free videos on YouTube. I think YouTube is a fantastic source for issues like this because I went through a really hard breakup. You've been through a really, really tough breakup. I would just type in my feelings, whatever I was feeling at the moment, whatever I was struggling with, I'd type it into YouTube. And there's dozens of great free videos done by psychotherapists and relationship experts. And when you watch more than one, and you'll get a little tidbits of gold out of each one, but when you start watching multiple of them, you'll start seeing they all saying the same thing. And you're like, they must know something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it starts making sense. What I liked about the videos, too, is they start diving into the mind of the person who broke up with who. If I broke up with you, they're going to tell you what I'm thinking, and they're going to tell you what you're thinking, and they're going to tell you why these things are going to go this direction and why they're going to change after so much time. Because time is a huge component in relationship breakups. There's just this weird process that our brains go through where at first when we break up with somebody, there's this sense of relief, but then there's this sense of sadness, and then there's sense of longing, and you go through these spells, and everybody goes through them at different times, but they go through them. Oddly enough, the person that gets broken up with goes through them almost in an opposite manner than the person who did the breaking up with, but they eventually go through the same emotions.
Right.
And so I didn't know that until I did my research and I just watched the videos and I listened to these people and I was like, oh yeah. And all of a sudden things started happening on cue just as they said it would. This is what's in the mind of that guy who broke up with you, and this is at the point between this point and this point, he's going to reach out to you.
He's going to reach out again.
Yeah.
I know it's not over, but it's over.
Right. Yeah. So that would be my best advice, not being an expert in it myself, but that's kind of how I learned on how to deal with these things. So are you jumping back in? Where are you at now?
I was on Seeking earlier today.
Oh, yeah?
Scrolling my messages, and I just don't have like as much oomph as I did before to like respond with like cute, quirky, I'm just kind of like, oh, but I know I need to, honestly, but I don't want to do it with someone local.
Yeah.
I want to do it with someone that I can see sporadically and kind of like feel it that way because it is an easier breakup.
Yeah.
You don't have the reminder every single day and all of that. It's just totally different. So I think that's easier. It doesn't go south as fast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we'll see.
Well, for me, and I care about so many of the people that I have arrangements with or that I go out on dates with that I meet on Seeking. But for me, when one of them kind of starts disappearing or things start going south, yeah, it hurts a little or there's, a little bit of sadness for me. But I scroll through and there's
fill the void.
There's hundreds of buses waiting, right?
So true.
So like the next bus is in 15 minutes.
It's very
and
true.
You just kind of got to jump back on that pony. And then the nice thing is that when you go out with new people, you're going to find out what you really liked about that last person, or that you're glad that you've moved on because this new person is offering a lot more than what the last person offered. I found that so much because, I went through a hard breakup. I still have a lot of great memories, but I've grown so much and I have so much now more to offer the new relationships and the new people that I meet. And they can just see that I'm a much more confident person because I took that pain and that heartache and actually just grew from it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
And I will say, I'm actually glad that I started this in my 30s and not my 20s because I just don't think I would have had like the confidence.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, and I probably wouldn't have been open to a wide variety of age ranges as well. Mm-hmm. It's nice that they can just kind of put it out there and you know what you want, they know what they want. It kind of comes up pretty quickly and you move from there. Mm-hmm. But it is time consuming.
It's very time consuming. It can be very exhausting. I met with somebody just last night for drinks. We had talked a few times. And then when they showed up, and they were beautiful. But it just, the personality, the vibe wasn't there for me. So literally, I had one drink and left, and she had water, and my bill was $10, and I was done with that date.
That's so sad.
But it was still time out of my day. I postponed some things. I got ready. I drove there. She did too. But, it's exhausting, but I don't know where else to go.
It's true.
Right? Where else am I going to go to meet somebody?
It's so true. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever go the traditional dating app route for arrangements again. I think it can get a little cloudy.
Well, that you kind of have to bring that up where on this site it's assumed.
Right.
Yeah. Even though you still have to talk about it and you still go over that, we all know why we're here.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's pretty clear on the site. Unspoken rules. Although men and women try to bend those rules way too much, and we talk about that so much in the podcast.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you ever use like Snapchat or FaceTime or anything before you meet someone?
I need to do that more often. I have a few times, and I'm glad I did. And
That's
I would
kind of
have
my
saved,
rule.
I would have saved so much time and hassle if I would have done that. So I did FaceTime with somebody, and she was attractive, and it went well. Sometimes even when you meet them in person, even though you've seen them, well, sometimes you meet them in person, there's even a different vibe there.
Oh,
but
definitely.
at least you know what you're walking into a little bit more clearly. I actually recommend doing that. It was kind of weird for me because I'm not used to doing that, and it's very safe to text and then show your face and talk to somebody, because when you're doing that, now you've got to think of what you're going to say on the spot. Where in texting, I can sit there and think for 5 minutes about how I'm going to word it. I can rewind, clear things, you know, and make it sound really witty or whatever. But when you're face to face or FaceTiming,
See, that's actually been on the traditional dating side now. They have these voice memos.
yeah,
So instead of typing, you can just do a voice memo.
I've seen those. Yeah,
I mean, literally, it's got some power.
Yeah.
When you hear somebody's voice after texting back and forth, it really changes everything.
yeah. There was a couple people that I met who had voices I couldn't even be in the room with for more than 5 minutes because it was like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh.
So if I would have done that before, I met them, I wouldn't have wasted so much time there. But anyway. Well, Ella, how did you find our website? I mean, our podcast?
I did a nice little search on sugar dating.
Oh, you did? And it popped up?
It popped up.
What did you type in? Just sugar dating?
I think it was sugar dating.
Okay.
And it was back in the beginning.
Yeah. We've been recording since like August of 2021.
Yeah.
So we're
And I got hooked really quick.
You did?
I did.
What hooked you?
Everything.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to hear your perspective because I think that's interesting. It gives us gals a chance to kind of know, what do we need to put out there for someone to assess our profiles and everything. But it's great to hear the gals' perspectives too. And now since you've added in other sugar daddies, it's a cool mixed bag.
Well, good.
Fun.
I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah, we try to bring a lot of texture to the show. I've got a mix of sugar babies, sugar daddies. My co-hosts are great. I mean, I'd even like to add a third one just because their time constraints, sometimes they're not available. Like it's just you and me today. They weren't available on such a short notice. But we just like to get everybody's perspective because dating isn't, there's no manual. There's no 100%, you need to do this to get this result. It's very dynamic and fluid.
Well, and everybody has their little je ne sais quoi,
Right. And not everybody's attracted to everybody. So
and there's kink and there's not kink,
yes, there
that's
is.
a hot topic on Seeking.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of episodes that we just released that deal with that. We've got a lot more coming up.
Ooh.
Yeah, we get into some really good stuff. So
I'm excited.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you jumping off the plane as quickly as you did.
I was going to show up in my uniform.
You should have.
I was going to.
That would have been hot.
Add to the fantasy.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you would like to be a guest like Ella, just go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, or find us on Instagram. You can message me there. I get those instantly. And we love feedback. We love the letters. As Ella found out, we actually do read those during the podcast. And I've probably got about 10 in the mailbag. I need to have just a mailbag show.
Yes.
That's all we talk about is these letters that people are sending us and these messages. But I think we're going to have one of those coming up soon. But really appreciate you coming in.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Until next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.